So, what really happens after we die? I mean, it's probably the biggest question we ever ask, right? Today, we're going to dive into two totally different answers to that question. We're going to unpack this amazing conversation that pits the idea of faith and forgiveness against, well, a kind of personal spiritual accounting. Is our fate after death all about what we believe? Or is it more like a final balance sheet of everything we've done? Let's get into it.
Okay, so this quote comes from an old man who is just told he has about a month left to live. And his reaction is, well, it's not what you'd expect. He's not just accepting it. He's actually kind of excited about it. For him, death isn't some scary end. It's the start of a prepaid, all-inclusive, eternal holiday.
It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? To face the very end of your life with hope instead of fear? This is our doorway into a belief system that offers just a huge amount of comfort when facing the biggest unknown there is. It's a promise of complete and total redemption.
All right, let's really break down this first model. The old man's entire belief is built on this one powerful idea, that his ticket to the afterlife has already been bought and paid for in full by someone else.
So the core of this belief is this incredible analogy. It's like a savior has put an open tab on the bar for everyone who believes. And this tab is backed by a massive, infinite trust fund from the Creator. In this way of thinking, paradise isn't just some spiritual state. It's like a luxury resort experience, and you never ever see a bill.
And this is key. The whole thing rests on faith. When he's asked for, proof, like where's the contract, the old man basically says you don't need to fact check it. The belief itself is what makes it powerful and real for him. But there's also this really fascinating historical mystery tied to it. He talks about this 3-day period where the Savior, right after coming back from a near-death experience, shared this incredible wisdom with his followers. And these teachings were apparently so profound they could turn regular people into miracle workers. But here's the craziest part. Not a single word was ever written down. It just vanished from history. They call them the lost teachings.
Okay, and this is where the conversation completely flips. A totally different point of view gets introduced, and it shifts us away from this idea of divine forgiveness to one of strict personal accounting. This model gives us a completely different picture of what the soul is.
So this new idea starts with a really powerful metaphor. Imagine that at your very core, your soul is something perfect, beautiful, and just full of pure light, like a flawless, glowing crystal sphere. This is what you are, in your essence.
But of course, that perfect core isn't the whole story. Life happens, we make choices, and in this model, all of our negative actions, our fears, our grudges, they start to build up on the outside of that perfect sphere. They form this hard, ugly, restrictive shell, kind of like barnacles growing on the hull of a ship.
And this shell of barnacles, it gets a name, the shadow dweller. It's the grand total of all our misused energy, all of our negative karma, and it's not just sitting there, it's an active thing that's squeezing and restricting and trying to take control from the pure soul that's trapped inside.
So you can really think of the soul as a final balance sheet. The crystal sphere? That's your main asset. It's like a positive bank balance, just quietly earning spiritual interest. The shadow dweller, on the other hand, well, that's your liability. It's a debt that's always growing, always racking up penalties.
So now we have two totally opposing ideas on the table. How do you actually deal with this spiritual debt? Is it something someone else can just wipe away for you? Or is it something you have to figure out and pay back yourself? And here's where the two views just completely collide. In one corner, you have faith as the solution. A savior steps in, your balance sheet gets wiped clean, reset to zero. But in the other corner, the soul is 100% responsible for its own books. And in that view, you can't just get your debt erased.
And this is the huge, profound consequence of that second viewpoint. If you could just magically erase all your mistakes, all that negative karma, you'd also have to erase all the good stuff, all your growth, all your spiritual rewards. Your assets and your liabilities, they're part of the same deal. If you wipe it all clean, then what was the point of living life in the first place?
So this next part gets into the actual metaphysical results of carrying around this spiritual balance sheet. It's not just some abstract idea. It has a real, tangible effect on the very energy of your soul.
So according to this model, each part of your soul has its own frequency. The pure crystal sphere, it has this incredibly high light vibration. But the shadow dweller, because it's so dense with karma, has a very, very low vibration. So when you put them together, they basically clash and cancel each other out, leaving the soul with almost no vibration at all.
So why does that vibration even matter? Well, in this model, a soul with that kind of neutral, low vibration state is just incompatible with the higher spiritual realms. The light, the frequency of being in the Creator's presence would be way too intense, way too powerful. The soul would literally just shatter.
Here's another way to think about it, using this idea of 10 talents, or 10 units of energy. Imagine if 9 of those units are totally locked up, basically imprisoned by your negative karma. That's the shadow dweller at work. You're left with only 1 talent to use, just a tiny fraction of your true potential, to create, to choose, to grow. The rest is just tied up in your debt.
And all of this brings us to the final and, honestly, maybe the most chilling part of the whole argument. It's not just about what you've done, but it's about what you believe, and how those beliefs literally create your reality after you die.
And this is a really critical point, that shadow dweller isn't just some abstract concept. It's made of real things that don't just go away when the body dies. Things like addictions, grudges, attachments, all of this stuff stays with the soul. And it acts like an anchor, holding it down in these lower, almost ghost-like realms, totally unable to move up.
And here is the trap. Your beliefs, especially the ones you never really examined or fact-checked, they stay with you. And the creative power of your soul can then build an entire reality around those beliefs, an illusion that feels 100% real. A soul could literally create its own 4-star resort afterlife, but it would be a cage, a beautiful prison, that stops it from ever facing its real karma and actually moving on. And that's where we're left, with this final, really challenging question. It's basically asking us to look at the foundation of our own beliefs about what comes next. Are they built on our own experience, on our own inner work, or are they just built on stories that we've been told by other people? It's a question that leaves that final balance sheet, well, entirely up to you.